Why chosen ones secretly struggle with lust. There are those who walk the world with an almost ethereal presence, individuals whose eyes seem to pierce the fabric of reality, whose words resonate with wisdom far beyond their years. These are the chosen ones. They are marked in some mysterious way by a purpose greater than themselves. They are born with gifts, the ability to heal, to inspire, to lead. They can see through the veils that bind others to illusion, and they are tasked with a journey that stretches beyond the ordinary limits of human experience. But beneath their noble callings, behind the light they project, lies a truth that few are ever able to glimpse: the struggle with lust. It is a struggle that begins in silence, hidden in the folds of their thoughts, in the quiet corners of their being. These chosen ones are not immune to the same desires that drive the masses. In fact, they often experience them more acutely, for the very intensity of their calling magnifies everything within them. Their passion, their hunger for connection, their yearning for intimacy. These things are amplified in ways that make them more human, not less. But the deeper they ascend on their spiritual path, the more they begin to question the nature of their desires. Lust, that raw, burning craving for another, for union, for flesh, feels like an obstacle in their journey. It seems to contradict everything they've been taught about transcending the body, about finding enlightenment through detachment. And yet, there it is. Like a shadow ever present, dogging their every step. No matter how much they evolve, how much they rise above their base instincts, lust finds a way to creep back in. It appears as a subtle distraction, a temptation that comes in many forms: a passing glance, a fleeting thought, a secret fantasy. It is a force that pulls at them, calling them to indulge in the very thing they know will distract them from their higher purpose. This is the first paradox of being chosen. The call to rise, to reach for the divine, is often accompanied by an undeniable pull toward the earthly. The chosen ones understand the truth of this struggle more than anyone. They know that their path requires purity. Their mission demands focus. They understand that lust, in its basest form, is a distraction. It is an energy that, when unchecked, can lead them astray, pulling them into the desires of the body rather than the needs of the soul. But there is a deeper mystery at play here. The struggle with lust is not just about the struggle to control it. It is not a battle of good versus evil, of right versus wrong. Lust, in its truest essence, is not simply a flaw of character. It is a reflection of something deeper, something more primal, that calls out from the core of their being. The craving, the yearning, it is not simply physical. Lust for the chosen ones often becomes a symbol, a distorted reflection of a much deeper and far more profound longing. The yearning for divine union, for transcendence, for the eternal connection that stretches beyond the limits of human experience. It is the soul's desire to merge with the source of all things, to touch the divine, to return home, but it is translated through the body, through desire, through the tangible, imperfect world of flesh. It is here that the mystery deepens. Lust is not merely a weakness, not simply a temptation that they must resist. It is a mirror. It shows them the depths of their own longing, the magnitude of their desires, and the inherent tension between the human and the divine. They seek union, but not just any union. They seek something greater than anything this world can provide. Yet, their bodies, these very vessels that were meant to carry them toward their highest purpose, remain bound to earthly desires, driving them into conflict with their spiritual calling. They are not like others. Those around them, perhaps unaware of their gifts or their calling, experience lust as something fleeting, a pleasure to indulge in, a momentary escape. But for the chosen ones, it is a force that constantly threatens to pull them away from their higher purpose. It is not a simple matter of indulgence or restraint. It is a war for their soul's attention. In these moments, they begin to understand that to be chosen is not merely to rise above the material world. It is to understand and integrate the material world within them. The struggle with lust is part of the human experience, and it is, paradoxically, a key to their spiritual awakening. As they look at the world, at the people around them caught in the cycle of desire, they come to see lust not as a singular force, but as a manifestation of something universal. The longing for wholeness, for connection, for the oneness they once knew before they were born into the limitations of the physical realm. It is a reflection of the divine yearning to return to itself, a mirror of the soul's search for its counterpart, its origin. But this understanding does not make the struggle any easier. In fact, it deepens the pain. For the chosen ones understand that what they seek is not of this world. What they long for is not something that can be fulfilled by the fleeting embrace of another, not even by the spiritual ecstasy of a higher connection. They seek union with the eternal, and every moment they are pulled into the depths of physical desire is a moment they feel torn away from that divine source. They often ask themselves, why me? Why this struggle when I am called to higher things? They question the purity of their purpose. They wonder if the struggle with lust is a sign of failure, a flaw in their spiritual journey. The world tells them that lust is a sin, that it is something to be repressed and denied. But they know, deep within, that lust is not simply an enemy to be destroyed. It is a force to be understood, a messenger to be listened to. It is a reflection of the deeper truth that calls out from within their own soul. And so, the chosen ones begin the long and difficult process of transformation. They do not seek to annihilate their desires, to deny their humanity. Instead, they seek to transmute the energy of lust into something higher. They learn that through deep self-reflection, through discipline and understanding, they can channel this primal force into creation, into service, into the elevation of their consciousness. This is not a path for the faint of heart. The work is grueling, and the temptation to fall back into the comfort of the physical world is ever present. But the chosen ones, driven by the light of their calling, press forward. They recognize that their struggle is not a sign of weakness. It is the crucible through which they are forged. Lust is the fire that tests their resolve, the forge that refines their spirit. It is a paradox, a force that threatens to destroy them, while simultaneously providing the opportunity for their greatest growth. There's a hidden ache that follows the chosen ones wherever they go. A kind of hunger that no food, no lover, no accomplishment can seem to quiet. It moves silently in the background of their lives, masked as lust, but rooted in something far more ancient, the memory of oneness. Before incarnation, their souls were vast and connected to all. Now, confined in flesh, the soul mourns what it once was. Lust in many ways is the soul's mourning song disguised as desire. That's what few understand. Lust is not always about the body. Sometimes it is the soul screaming through the skin, begging to be remembered. The chosen ones feel this more than others. Their calling amplifies every whisper from the spirit world. And so, when lust visits them, it doesn't arrive softly. It crashes in like a wave, reminding them of how far they've drifted from wholeness. They are tempted not just by pleasure, but by escape, because deep down, they are exhausted, carrying unseen burdens, healing bloodlines, confronting darkness others pretend doesn't exist. And in the middle of all this sacred labor, their humanness cries out, just for a moment of relief. Just one taste of something that feels close, warm, and real. But here lies the danger. The world has turned lust into a commodity, and when the chosen ones reach for it unconsciously, they are often left emptier than before. What they thought would soothe them ends up pulling them deeper into illusion. This is not because they are weak. It is because their spirit recognizes false light, and it burns when they touch it. Still, they stumble, again and again. But even in their falling, there is meaning. Each time they give in, they meet a mirror, and in that mirror is not shame, but a message, a whisper. This is not what you truly want. Lust, for the chosen ones, becomes a sacred test, not to see if they are perfect, but to reveal where they are still fragmented. True alchemy begins when they stop condemning the desire and start listening to it. What does it want to tell them? Is it pointing to loneliness? To a part of themselves they've ignored? To a longing for God disguised as craving for flesh? Only then does the transformation begin. Lust is no longer a chain. It becomes a compass. It shows them where they've lost connection, not with others, but with themselves. And slowly, with compassion, they learn to respond not with suppression or indulgence, but with presence, with truth. And that is where power lives.